We're here. Hey, this is Beau from BEAU'D Not Broken. We're here at the Eastman Fitness Center up in Centerville. There's Rob right there. He's going to be talking to us in a little while. Just kind of wanted to show you all his many accomplishments and probably some that still to come. But wanted to show you a little bit of his fitness area here. He does all kinds of stuff, and pretty neat area. And we're going to sit down in here and chat a little bit. This is the Daily Bend, and we talk to all kinds of people, regular people, people that are experiencing all kinds of different things, and we talk to everybody. Let's see. There we go. Oh, how about that? There we go. These selfie sticks are hilarious. Anyway, we're going to sit down here and have a chat. Again, this is the Daily Bend. We come to you every day, Monday through Friday, and we talk about faith and courage and endurance. We talk to people that have bouts with adversity. We all have adversity through our lives, all through our lives, and we talk about how we got through it and how we can help other people. Something that Rob might say today might affect somebody. I want to thank all the guests that come on. It's kind of fun to have differing type folks, and it's been fun to meet everybody, people I don't know, and come to their environments, or people that I've known just peripherally. Rob was nice enough to have us up, and it's kind of a quiet time in here. It's kind of a good time in here to come. And again, for those that are visiting us here on Periscope, we're in Centerville, Utah, in the United States, and we're at Eastman Fitness, where we're going to talk to Rob for a little while. I have to cut in every once in a while just to say what we're doing and where we are and all that kind of stuff. Anybody have any comments, questions, or show ideas, please send them. I have an email on beaudnotbroken.com that you can send anything, or any kind of social media. Just send me your questions, comments, or people that looking for somebody on Friday. Have somebody tomorrow, but looking for somebody on Friday. So if anybody out there would like to tell their story, remember, it's your stories, your voice, and that's what we do here on the Daily Bend. Rob, thanks. Thanks for, I'm still trying to figure out this little selfie thing. So anyway, if I can get it it flaps around there. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know that's a broad question, but let her rip.
Yeah, born and raised in Bountiful, Utah, son of Dan Eastman and Claudette Eastman. My father, growing up, he owned a few car dealerships, school board president, state senator, so kind of in the limelight. And from an early age was bullied in a little bit different class, and in junior high got into drugs, and my life kind of took a big turn from there. Tell me a little bit about the bullying. We've had one person on about bullying. How did that really long-term affect you? It was, so I speak at elementaries, junior highs, and high schools now about bullying and drugs, and the effect that both of them have, and a lot of it goes hand in hand. Mm-hmm. So anybody that's a redhead knows how it is growing up to be a redhead. So every day got picked on. I think I got in a fight probably 3 or 4 times a week. Really? Every day of elementary school. And the strain it puts on your confidence, and you just learn to lie about things and avoid those problems. And for me, and anybody that knows me, I always fought back. So right. I was alone and in trouble a lot that way. When did the bullying start? Really little. I had real small. My ears stuck out, and then I had fire red hair. Right. So it was real little. Wow. When did the drugs and alcohol, things like that, when did that come into play? So my big thing with that was in first grade. My first grade teacher, I was like the original Ritalin baby. Oh. So I was in and out of doctors, and when they were first trying that drug, I got on it. And my first grade teacher pulled me up in front of the class and she kind of made fun of me for needing to take a pill and that I couldn't sit still like the other kids. And that instantly...
The teacher actually made fun of you.
Yeah. So that created the separation in normal drugs, pills that can make you, level you out and things like that. I told myself I wasn't going to be different, so I never took it again. Fast forward a few years, started smoking weed, and that cured all of my issues. I thought all the people who did drugs were so accepting and so caring, which come to find out they're really not.
How were your parents during this time? Were you somewhat rebelling? Were they kind of?
I think I was just a pain.
You were just a pain.
I was just a tough little kid,
Really?
Had trouble sleeping and concentrating, and I truly believe I had ADHD, and
right.
And to sit still in school, and the way that school is now compared to back then, they're washing my mouth out with soap and smacking me around in class. So it was a different time to be brought up, but it definitely led into a chip on my shoulder throughout junior high, and then once I hit high school, I was a pretty mean dude. And
still doing drugs, still drinking,
absolutely. So I was a very high-level soccer player. My senior year in high school, we went and played over in Europe with a Utah team. So I was pretty close. If I probably wouldn't have done the drugs and could have had a better head on my shoulders, I probably would have played pro soccer at some point.
Wow.
But like I said, my dad, and I love him to death. He passed away about 6 years ago. They never allowed me to fail. So if I got in a bind, if I got in a fight, they always made it go away, or, I never had any consequences for my actions. And if I did, they were very minor, which kind of gave me the invincible feeling.
Interesting.
Coming from a cop's point of view, I was that kid that you could never really get in trouble without getting yourself in trouble.
That's interesting. You're watching BEAU'D Not Broken, the Daily Bend, and Rob's with us, and he's talking a little bit about some of his challenges and things like that as he was younger. What we talk about on this show is we talk about the adversities. We talk to people about the different things that they've gone through and how they might be able to help other people and their children. We'll talk about that. He was just talking about how his parents kind of enabled. It was kind of a enabling where he ended up not really getting in trouble, or there wasn't much consequences or accountability for what he was doing. Elaborate a little bit more about that. As far as where did it finally come to a head?
That happened a few times. So there was multiple things. I had a best friend who was like a soulmate, somebody that comes around once in a lifetime as far as male-to-male friend.
Right.
We got in some trouble towards the end of high school. They moved away, and he ended up committing suicide about a year after we got out of high school, which played a huge factor in the way my life went.
Right.
My dad always wanted to create amazing opportunities for me. Now I see that, now that I'm clean. So they would send me, most of the time I got sent out of the country to some kind of leadership
rehab.
training.
Oh, leadership. That was more like wilderness training, but it was leadership training. Okay.
Teach you how to do that. So I spent a month in Costa Rica doing some service projects and kayaking and mountain climbing and things like that. And, came back and just continued right back with my issues, and then they sent me to Israel with BYU. So I did a semester abroad. So for the first few weeks, I had actually gotten in trouble fighting with a highway patrolman. Which, is big trouble.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, so, and it was a weird situation. It wasn't like we started. He was an off-duty officer. And,
right.
I don't want to get into that, but just kept happening. You know, it didn't matter what I did.
Right.
My decisions were all the same.
Right.
They led down the same road. And by this time, I'm out of the house, and nobody can really control me now. I'm on my own.
Right.
And just continued to surround myself with people that signed off on my bad behavior. And it wasn't until pretty much 2 divorces later, I went to one rehab in between there when I was about 27, and I got sober, but I wasn't working any kind of recovery.
Right.
Meaning working towards changing my life.
Right.
You know, I just got clean and everything was great.
Right.
Playing sports again, and had a knee injury, which led me to get surgery, which led me to an instant relapse. Second they put opiates in my body, it
Right.
felt like I had never stopped.
Right.
So I was an IV drug user. So within an hour or two of coming out of surgery, I had a needle in my arm again, and a baby on the way, and a new marriage, and that went away real quick. And that was my second marriage. And then my daughter was born, and you would think, people always say, "Why you know, do it for your kids," and it made it worse, because one, I can't take care of myself. How am I going to take care of this beautiful little baby girl?
Right.
You know, so now I'm thinking, what's the best thing for this girl? And my bright idea was, you know, I thought about suicide. And so one night I was high, and I went up. Hello.
Come on in here. You're welcome. It's off the cuff. So
I knew I wouldn't do it if I was sober, so I got drunk and I went up in the mountains and I took my gun. And my family, I was born and raised LDS. My family was religious. I had a real struggle with believing in something that I couldn't see or feel. I didn't get the same things.
let alone yourself,
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah, and so I found myself up above the Bountiful Temple, and they talk about that still small voice.
Uh-huh.
And I prayed and let God know that he needed to be really loud and
Right.
give me an answer real quick, or I was going to pull the trigger. And I opened my eyes, and luckily, probably a teenage kid was breaking the law and lit off a bunch of fireworks right as my eyes opened. And to me, that was my aha moment, when it was like the second my eyes opened and it went off for 5 minutes right above the temple, right in my view, like, hey, here you go. And so I drove down and gave my dad my gun and drove myself to the hospital and checked myself into detox and went to rehab. And this time they beat me up so bad in rehab, and they dug out all the infection I had, being lack of coping skills.
Mental and physical. Yeah.
And cleaning out my closet of all those take you to the grave things that will kill you.
Right.
I learned something they told us, that you're only as sick as your secrets. And that resonated with me. And
How long ago was that? When did
that? September 1st, 2009 is my sobriety birthday.
Wow, yeah, I know you posted that on his page.
Yeah,
that's
just
awesome.
Was it yesterday? 2 days ago, I celebrated 2,400 days clean and sober of any mood or mind-altering substance.
Wow.
So I was, people that knew me then are amazed. People that know me now can't believe that I was a drug addict. So it's bittersweet to have both sides.
So you went through quite a few years of just in and out and trouble and the whole thing.
17 years of heavy drug and alcohol. And, you know, at the point, bipolar, anxiety,
right,
insomnia, all of these things that, you know, we self-medicated.
Sure.
Which turned into...
You're watching the Daily Bend with Rob Eastman, and pretty interesting stuff about how long it's been since he's, you know, indulged, I guess you could call it. And really, we're going to get to what a success he is, and 2 marriages, you know, kids along the way, all that kind of stuff. We're in his gym, we're in his fitness center, and we're talking to him about the different challenges that he's had in his life. Go to parents. Go to parents. Could there have been anything your parents could have done to help you?
You know, I think back in the early 90s, we didn't, and being in the county I live in the state that we live in, it's very LDS dominant, and we really didn't talk about it. You know, and addiction was not on the mainstream like it is now, and it was a swear word in households, and they're amazing people, you know, and they did what was best for me. My dad came from a father who was a truck driver and had nothing to being a very successful man and wanted us to have every opportunity. And I think he mistaken opportunity for the tough love of which I try and teach my children now. And I've spoken and forgiven, and they've done the same with me.
Wow.
But yeah, enabling. We have a saying now too that you can love your kids to death, which means if they're not doing what you want them to do in the house, you need to kick them out. If they're bringing drugs or putting people in harm, you need to let them do that on their own and not bring the other people in the household around. So I'll get to that story where, so I lost my house and I was heavily on drugs. This is before I was going to kill myself, but my parents finally came to me and they wrote my obituary, handed it to me, and then they said, "We love you, get out." And that was when I got help, because I had no more soft landings. I had no more safety net. I had burnt every single bridge possible, and thank God they did.
What was it? What gave you the courage to kind of finally find that way to, you know, what was it? One thing? Was it that? Was it?
It was my daughter.
You know, the praying.
It was my daughter. You know, they taught me to do a pros and cons list of, you know, is it going to work or is it not going to work? And I couldn't find a single reason to live.
Right.
And she just kept popping into my head. And my dad, his mom committed suicide, and I knew the toll that it had on him, even as a grown man. And I didn't want to do that to my daughter. So people say you can't get sober for anybody else, but I did. And it worked for a long time.
Right. No, we've met a few people that have done that for others. I mean, you know, they've really stepped it up for other, you know, their sons, daughters, or parents, or whomever, their wife, whatever it might be, you know.
Yeah. And then, so after I got sober, I lost everything financially, and my father passed away at 9 months sober. So it was sink or swim, and I chose to swim and surround myself with winners, with men who had what I wanted in relationships. They talk about getting a sponsor in the AAA or things like that.
Right.
It quickly became, once I gave up in the sense of knowing that I was out of control with substance abuse, I surrounded myself with men and women who loved me and could be honest with me and tell me what I needed to hear, not what I wanted to hear.
Right.
And went back to school because I couldn't afford a therapist, so I only took psychology class and learned more about my disease, about bipolar, and found a great psychiatrist and worked my way into understanding my disease and building coping skills. And I found a trainer who took me under his wing and showed me how much fitness has nothing to do with the way you look, but the way you feel. And that sparked my passion. And that 6 years from that day, now I'm sitting in my own, probably only thing that I've ever earned myself, you know, my blood, sweat, and tears in here.
I don't think I've ever heard it actually said that way, but yeah, it's true that really is how you feel, you know.
It's a stress relief. It's an easy way to humble yourself. All those medals you saw on the wall in there, and the cage fighting and boxing and ultra marathons and obstacle racing, it's not because I love running 35 miles in the mountains.
Right.
It's because at mile 20, I have a spiritual experience, and that is, what am I made of when I have 15 miles to get off this damn mountain?
Right.
And nobody's going to carry me.
Right.
So it's, you know, it's my religion. It's, you know, I imagine it's what people feel like when they go to the temple or the synagogue or mass is what I feel when I'm in the mountains on a trail run, or when I'm with my beautiful wife who does all these.
Let's put her in front of you. I think we got room for her. Get her over here. Get her over here.
Come on.
Come sit down. What do you tell parents that might be going through what you did? I mean, is it almost? Well, what do you tell them? What do you tell them?
I tell them it's very scary, and the more honest you can be with yourself and talk to other people about it, you'll find you're not alone. The more people, the reason I do is people are like, aren't you going to worry about getting judged? Every time I share my story, it helps 5 other people be vulnerable enough to face their fears.
I guess not just parents, but somebody that's watching that might have addiction issues.
Yeah, parents, especially, parent from day one. Don't parent every 5th time. Parent every time, and then you won't have to parent that much as they get older.
And yourself. What do you think is important for people for themselves if they're in those situations?
Ask for help. Humble yourself enough to ask for help. To a qualified friend, not somebody with a bottle in their hand can talk out your sorrows with a drink.
Right.
There's AA, there's so many groups, there's so many new fitness places who are starting to do what I do. We do life coaching. Yeah,
let's talk about that. So you 7 years ago, it was you had a dream, and your dream is, early on we came in, and we'll show you a little bit more in a little while, but you had a dream, and how did that play into your sobriety and your frame of mind and all that kind of stuff?
It was an amazing journey, and they say, I had this idea. My dad said, I don't know anything about recovery, but I know a lot about business. So let's make your recovery plan like a 5-year business plan. And I set my goal, and it was super low, and he's like, no, that's done. So I set it so high. He's like, okay, make a business plan. I took it to some investors, and all I needed was $80,000 and an 8,000 square foot facility.
That's all I need.
Yeah.
And they laughed at me, and I could not understand what was so funny. It was such a great idea.
It's your idea. It's great.
And thank goodness, I thank you to all of you that said no to me, because if you didn't, I'd be building your dream right now instead of sitting in my own. But at least 5 times a month, people would tell me, just get a normal job, because I fully committed to building my dream. Mm-hmm. And it's been the most amazing journey. And it's definitely made me being very comfortable living outside my comfort zone. Mm-hmm. I'm almost more comfortable outside of my comfort zone than I am in. Because if I get lazy and complacent and I'm comfortable, that's when bad things happen.
So you're in the fitness business, but it's more than just lifting weights. Yeah. I mean, most people think that, fitness is just lifting weights. Yeah. You do all kinds of things here. Absolutely. And help people. Absolutely. Is that something that helps you with your therapy of your own?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if I didn't have people with problems to help them with theirs, it'd be a scary place and scary world for us. I get so much from people that come to me for help, but I end up learning more about them, and more from them than they ever do from me. Right. I've been fortunate enough. I got the head coaching job at a local junior high's wrestling team, and I get to work with boys 13 to 15, and that experience to come in and not just teach technique, but to teach these boys who are about to be those pain in the butt teenagers which way to go, and share my story, and get to come in and be vulnerable with them. In return, they get to be vulnerable with me and learn how to communicate and not stuff their feelings through fitness and wanting to quit and moving forward. And there's just so many, the mind, body, and soul. I'm not a yogi, but we try and work it all out. Mm-hmm. Whether you believe in God or not, there's still something that can give you the warm and fuzzies, and I want you to chase that.
Tell me about this lady right here.
This lady right here is an amazing woman. People always ask, how did you meet her? I was sitting at Cafe Rio, maybe I was like 2 years sober, still pretty terrified of females. No confidence.
Terrified of females.
And you can see her, she's gorgeous. And we were sitting there, and just got my burrito, and she walked by, and I was like, dang. And my buddy's like, yeah, she's hot. And I'm like, God, yeah, I'll do that next time, you know, thinking I'll never see her again. And unfortunately, she just went to the place next door and got her eyebrows waxed. And walked back by, and I was almost done with my burrito, so I said, the answer is always no unless you ask. So I went and asked her out, and we've spent every day since. And she has done everything that I've ever challenged.
She's a part of
her
the
to do.
business. She's a
Yeah.
part.
Her very first race was an ultramarathon.
Nice.
Her
Wow.
second race was a 50K, was 7,000 foot elevation gain, and she just won her first boxing match.
Nice.
It's all amazing things, but she's also 38 years old. So people that have excuses, that's what that wall's about.
Right.
Is there are no excuses.
Right.
Age is a number. If you want to do it, I can help you.
Right.
I can help you get there.
What's the biggest barrier in your business to people, you know, not just getting customers, but what's the biggest barrier for you? You know, do you find that when people come in or people...
I think it's how unwilling people are to be honest with themselves. You know, when people either love what I'm saying or they run like hell because they don't want to get vulnerable. Because
Right.
they got some skeletons or they're feeling pretty bad and they know that being around me long enough, you're bound to pull that Band-Aid off.
Right. Elaborate a little bit on the vulnerability, because we've had that for a couple of shows. Vulnerability has come out, and what is that in your mind? And I think for maybe the viewers and people that are watching, that will watch it, a lot of times that's associated with being a sissy, being somebody. I'm vulnerable. You know, that's only for women.
Yeah. I'm speaking of vulnerable, not like crying all the time about my feelings, but more so understanding that I'm human to be depressed or to have anxiety or to have troubles in my relationship, and to know, like I could ask you holding your phone right now. When you started, it's pretty light, right? It's probably getting pretty heavy holding your hand up now. It's the same as if you get hurt or you lie about something. It's not that big of a deal, but if you hold on it too long, it's going to grow, it's going to grow, it's going to grow. You're going to forget about it, but it's still growing inside of you. So be vulnerable enough to, if you get hurt, speak about it. If something's bothering you, let somebody know. Don't carry resentments. Just a simple way to communicate, which I learned through Alcoholics Anonymous, but to be able to speak about my feelings and not in a sissy way, but one that all we can do is clean our side of the street, being that I can tell you I'm sorry and not expect anything in return. It's only for me to let you know I'm sorry I hurt you. And we expect too much from other people when really we're our biggest enemy and we're our best success. So
you're watching The Daily Bend, BEAU'D Not Broken with Rob Eastman, and we've been talking about a lot of different things, and I think that one of the things that vulnerability we just talked about is something that is interesting and is prevalent and is very much a part of this show. We're trying to show people's, you know, at their rock bottom and how they've come out of it. And some people that we show haven't come out of their rock bottom yet, but maybe this show, maybe what we're saying, maybe what Rob says or somebody else says will help you or help somebody that you love. That's what this is all about. Tell me about maybe a success. Tell me about a success in coaching. Maybe just a glorious success that really comes to mind, or, you know, or a couple. You probably had a lot. If you're a coach, I mean, I know I have many, but you know, there's some that come to mind more than others, or one that comes to mind.
yeah, one that's, well, a quick and easy one, I'll get to another one after, is I had the opportunity to coach my little girls' soccer team and teach them, and they went undefeated last season, which was really cool. But one person in particular is a fighter I met my second fight. My third fight? My third fight. It was his debut, and found out he was in recovery. So I was like, man, he needs my program. I need to talk to him because, one, for us, relapse, if we get hurt and we have to take pills, that could be relapse. If you're not in a good place, and you know, all my doctors know I've blacklisted myself. I'm an opiate drug user, don't give me anything. So I started training with him, and or I brought him into our training, and he was still pretty new in recovery, and he couldn't handle my level of accountability. And so I kept touch with him here and there, and he fought, I think, one more time, and we talked again, and he had grown up in the recovery world. So we started training together, and over the past 2 years, pretty much the past 2 years, he's gone undefeated, and we just picked up our second belt.
Wow.
Utah 145 AMI champ, ruthless Randy Burton. And to share that with somebody who is also in recovery, who's young, he's 25 years old.
Oh, wow, okay.
Coming from, homeless for a minute to
right.
where he's at now, and the example that he puts onto people shows them, we always say, what's your excuse? He came from here, and now he's here, and no matter what it is, people are always like, Eastman Fitness doesn't know anything about fighting. What are they doing? And it's like, because we don't work on fighting. We work on ourselves. We enter that cage, mind, body, and soul, 100%. We're not scared. We're ready. The jiu-jitsu and the kickboxing, that comes with time. But when you're in there and you're prepared, and from the depths of hell of which we've been, there ain't nobody bad enough
to take that from us. Is it like the the proverbial the latest Rocky film? You're your worst enemy type of thing, and if you can fight, if you can beat that guy, you can beat anybody, kind of thing.
There's a few rounds in our first belt defense, or not defense, the first belt fight. He looked at me, and it was the third round, and we both forgot that title fights are 5 rounds, so we didn't prepare for it. I'm like, Randy, you remember when you were panhandling on the street and you were jonesing? This ain't as bad as that, is it? He said, no, coach. And he stood up there and went and dominated the next 2 rounds.
Oh, that's awesome.
We dig deep of our life experience. We've had such lows that everyday life when we're sober, it doesn't even touch it.
Right.
So the skills we teach in here, we call it suffer safely. I'm going to poke at your vulnerability, and I'm going to make you suffer a little bit, and when you want to quit, I'm not going to let you.
Right.
So on a Thursday, when your boss comes in screaming and yelling, you're like, Rob's better than that on a Wednesday. Yeah. We have you prepared for life, for fitness, for chasing your kids, for being a better dad, grandfather, what mother.
Right.
We're, it's just, the more we face our demons, the smaller they get, and I look forward to jumping on other people's demons with them, tying them up and hanging them out to dry.
Nice. Tell me the breadth of what you do. So people out there, we're in Davis County, we're in Centerville. If you're up in the northern Utah area here, the metropolitan area, Eastman Fitness does a lot of things. Tell them what you do. Other than what you've already said. I mean, it's a whole approach. It's not just, we're going to lift weights and things like that.
Yeah, we don't have any mirrors to flex in.
It's true. There aren't any mirrors. Check that out. Pretty amazing.
So the basis of our program, we do normal athletes want to come in and just lift whatever, but one is to get serious with yourself and be vulnerable enough to come in and join a group. We keep it small, but we consider ourselves an adventure gym and a lifestyles gym, meaning if you have a bucket list that you've always wanted to do but you don't know how to do it, I'll help you train for it, or we'll actually do it with you. We do everything from paddle boarding, sand volleyball, trail running and racing, to yoga. I mean, we never do the same thing. We work out a lot on kids' playgrounds, so if you're ever out of town, you can just find the local elementary, and you'll
little
get a
urban workout. It's an urban workout.
Kind of, we coach you to not need a gym and to not need us. And the only reason I have a gym is so that people have a safe place to come year round. But as soon as this snow goes away, we won't be spending much time in here. So it's mainly a safe place where if you've been afraid to face anything.
And you're really one-stop shopping. I mean, you can deal with addictions, you can deal with, self-esteem, you can deal with all kinds of things.
Also, one thing that's really cool, that me and my wife just took a course on PTSD because we just got picked up by the Wounded Warrior Project. If you
Nice.
or anybody you know struggles with PTSD, post 9/11 military, they will pay for 3 months of training with us and 4 personal sessions a month.
Wow,
With other
nice.
vets. It's a private group for vets only.
Okay.
So if you're struggling, I get it. I didn't go to war. I went to my own war, but
Sure. I'm sure you can help those out there in law enforcement and out
Yeah.
there in fire service and other situations too. I don't know about everybody out there. Hopefully, this will be online. We'll put it on YouTube. It'll be on the website, but you can use it, for whatever you guys are doing.
Yeah.
And I would love to come back and maybe while you're doing, maybe you're training a fighter or whatever, or you've got kids in or something. I'd love to do that. I think this has been a treat for me because it's nice to see like-minded people that are involved in fitness that have really taken it to a level. I like the idea of no gym, being able to rely on your urban settings, your home, things like that. That's the kind of training that I enjoy. But your story is one that is very inspiring, and I hope you get to. I know you tell it a lot, but I'm glad you're able to tell it on our little show here today. Anything you want to say parting wise to everybody out there?
if you're struggling, reach out to somebody. You can check our website out at www.eastmanfitnessutah.com. And the 2 biggest things in my recovery are, like I said before, you're only as sick as your secrets, and be brave enough to love yourself. And thank you. Thanks to my wife for being on the show with us. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for hanging out. Want to thank everybody there for watching, and we'll make sure we post this up on the website. Visit his website. Don't forget to watch Monday through Friday. We come to you live, and we go wherever we need to go and to tell people's stories of adversity, but then also of how they've come out of that. Adversity can be and turn into success for everybody. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to any comments, questions, or any show ideas, please let me know. I don't have this is non-scripted and non-rehearsed, and we just go out there and bring this kind of stuff to you. So anyway, have a great day. Thanks a lot. If I can get that.